The book of Philippians is written by the Apostle Paul to the church in Philippi. And in this letter, he is encouraging them and showing his appreciation for them because of their support in his ministry, their concern for his imprisonment. But more importantly, he's writing because of the joy that he has for their partnership in the gospel. So let's dive into Philippians and see what it looks like for us to partner in the gospel. I want you to know, brothers, that what has happened to me has really served to advance the gospel, so that it has become known throughout the whole imperial guard and to all the rest that my imprisonment is for Christ. And most of the brothers, having become confident in the Lord by my imprisonment, are much more bold to speak the word without fear. Some indeed preach Christ from envy and rivalry, but others from goodwill. The latter do it out of love, knowing that I am put here for the defense of the gospel. The former proclaim Christ out of rivalry, not sincerely, but thinking to afflict me in my imprisonment. What then? Only that in every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is proclaimed, and in that I rejoice. Yes, I will rejoice, for I know that through your prayers and the help of the Spirit of Jesus Christ, this will turn out for my deliverance, as it is my eager expectation and hope that I will not be at all ashamed, but that with full courage, now as always, Christ will be honored in my body, whether by life or by death. For to me, to live is Christ, and to die is gain. If I am to live in the flesh, that means fruitful labor for me. Yet which I shall choose, I cannot tell. I am hard pressed between the two. My desire is to depart and be with Christ, for what that is far better. But to remain in the flesh is more necessary on your account. Convinced of this, I know that I will remain and continue with you all for your progress and joy in the faith, so that in me you may have ample cause to glory in Jesus Christ, because of my coming to you again. Only let your manner of life be worthy of the gospel of Christ, so that whether I come and see you or am absent, I may hear of you that you are standing firm in one spirit, with one mind, striving side by side for the faith of the gospel, and not frightened in anything by your opponents. This is a clear sign to them of their destruction, but of your salvation, and that from God. For it has been granted to you that for the sake of Christ you should not only believe in him, but also suffer for his sake, engaged in the same conflict that you saw I had and now hear that I still have. Paul's emphasis in Philippians continues to be the gospel, that the message be proclaimed and that people's lives be transformed by it. And he continues to rejoice even in the fact that there are some people proclaiming the gospel for perhaps selfish motives, whether it's to puff themselves up so that they would be more recognized, or whether it was to see Paul suffer more. Either way, Jesus was being proclaimed, and in that, Paul rejoiced. And then he goes on to rejoice in his own suffering, the imprisonment that he's experiencing and the suffering as a result of it. He rejoices in the fact that he might live and he might die, and regardless, there's good in either case. The real sacrifice for him wasn't that he would die. The real sacrifice for him was that he would continue to live. To die was actually to go and be with Christ, that he would no longer have to continue to endure the suffering in this world, but that in fact dying was gain. But he knew that the real sacrifice was in fact to live, and that sacrifice was better for everyone else. It was better for the followers of Jesus in that time, but it was also better for those who have yet to hear the gospel, that he would go and continue to proclaim it and see others come to a saving knowledge of Jesus and make him their Lord. He then calls them to do the same. He's writing to us saying, you Christians in Philippi, you Christians in Uxbridge, you Christians wherever you are, Let your manner of life be worthy of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Let our lives be completely transformed into a way that represents Christ well, worthy of the gospel. This whole live as Christ mentality, this whole living your life in a manner worthy of the gospel of Jesus Christ, this whole idea that Paul is trying to get across to us, he's saying, I don't want you just to believe that this is good. I want you to be prepared to suffer for it. In fact, work this out. Flesh this out. Really think this through and endure all things in a manner worthy of the gospel that will lead you to suffer for the sake of Christ. To live as Christ is to suffer for Christ's sake. That we would allow ourselves to die to ourselves and live anew in Christ in a manner worthy of the gospel. So, ask yourself this: am I living my life in a manner worthy of the gospel of Jesus Christ? Am I just believing, or am I submitting myself to Christ? And it might be painful. I might suffer. I might be looked down upon because of this, but it's all worth it, because to live is Christ, to die is gain. And that is all that matters. Our partnership in the gospel has to go beyond just a lip service, beyond just a once a week commitment, beyond just a financial allocation of a portion of our money. It has to be our entire lives. That the fact that we live is that we would live for Christ's sake. And if we die, well, that is gain. And so there is no fear for us in death. In fact, the real suffering takes place in life. And that suffering, well, let's make sure we're doing it for the right reasons, for Christ's sake. God bless your week, and we'll see you whenever.